I'm going to share with you a message I received late 2024 about the turn into the new year and the whole new year period of January onwards. And it's an explanation, especially for those in the collective who are on the spiritual path, doing the work, even if you feel like it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. Okay, so I'll read you exactly the message I received from the angels. Okay, I'm getting the vision of the angels showing me a giant machine, and it's got all these clasps, kind of like in those games where there's a clasp and you grab the toy. So it's a beam with all these clasps, and all the people of the world are here. Okay, so they're showing me that this machine hovers over all the people of the world, and clasps come down. So it's just an analogy, okay, on the people who are on the path, the collective who have done the work, and the claws lift them up to hover above earth because they are being on hold in a kind of holding bay. They are being put out, put on hold, put at bay, on pause while the world reshuffles. So, Earth, the energy of all the people who still need to work through a lot of issues, and keep in mind the collective is also working through issues as well, and there's no hierarchy here, each on their own path, right? The idea is all the people on Earth who are still working through their issues on a certain timeline and path that is not the same as yours, are needing to adjust, and not just the people, but also institution, the system, the matrix, so to speak. So that was happening during 2024, and it will explain a lot if you think back to it. And then at the end of 2024 and moving into 25 now, the claws come down again so that you can now reshuffle and mix with the other people. So you were hovered and you were working on your stuff from up there, and other people and other collectives were working with their stuff from that perspective. And now there's a reshuffling and a new adjustment period. So it's about reshuffling and mixing with other people and the energies, all the energies, the higher energies coming in, other lower energies trying to bring down people, which you would have felt in recent times, as well as the energy of everybody. Because it was not safe or conducive for you to do so in 2024, meaning keep a loose idea of what safe means in this context. Think of it this way: certain people are working on certain things and they need to be in that energy as a group in order to do so. And then the ones on a higher timeline or that different sort of spiritually aware pathway, no matter how many problems you have and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. It's like you are in a sort of grace area to do your work from that level. And no matter how low you feel that you've gone, the idea was not to mix all your work and your patterning, and everything, even the karmic layers, which are deep and go back a lot, not to mix that with the energy of here. So if you understand it, people are doing their work on different levels, and again, it's not about hierarchy, it's about where you are at, just like being in the right class at school for your personality and your capabilities and where you're at in general. This is because the giant amount of work everybody was doing and the giant amount of up leveling, even though it felt like whatever the opposite word is to up leveling, like, I don't know, downgrading, right? If you felt like you were downgraded in whatever way, it's because the up level is so high. and the potential. And this is what we're moving into. So even if recent energies have felt very difficult at times, and obviously there's things going on Earth which make it, traumatic, challenging, or whatever, there's still this higher energy at play. And if you think of it, the angels are showing me now, imagine it like this, like all this light's pouring on, and then I just saw 444 at that moment, and then the darkness rises up and it wants to do anything to get its clasps right into the people. The easiest place for it to place its clasps is on the people who are on these lower timelines. However, they will definitely take aim at the ones on the higher, because they're the most harder to get, because they're so in the light and on the path, even if it's not fully embodied yet and still processing. So it really is about spiritual warfare and kind of playing the game, right? But if you're to stay aligned with God source and remember the soul that you are, this is what anchors you in and carries you through. And it also means that you act as a signpost to others. You were essentially protected or kept apart from people, the angels say logistically, strategically. I'm seeing now like a chess game also, like moves being played. And it's not to say that God or source, or however you view that, is like a chess player. It's just that strategic moves are needed in order for this spiritual warfare to, I want to say like escalate. It's kind of both. So again, it's this play on words of upgrade, downgrade, escalate, de-escalate, right? Because the de-escalation is the master plan of the darkness. Escalation is the master plan of the light, of the truth. I've got goosebumps, right? This is what it all comes down to, and it makes a lot of sense. And so this allows the people on that other collective to do their thing and you to do your thing. So if you happen to be more reclusive last year, or even up to now, or you have your moments of that, or you felt like you were stuck, you couldn't move ahead, this is why. Feel the energy of that. Let that sink in. Then they say, now you're able to catapult and advance forward. That's that message for that early January. Remember that feeling where you felt that spring in your step, right? Wherever you're at now, don't worry if you're in your lowest of lows right now, or you're really feeling, the trauma at the moment, or whatever it is. When you're in that moment of feeling like springtime and you've got a bit of a inspiration and you want to get into your goals and that light feeling, that's what that's about, okay? Because just like I was saying before, the highest of upgrades brings the lowest of, darkness and despair. So we're going through both, and it's extreme. It feels extreme. And because the light has been turned on so bright, it's uncomfortable at times. It is like being in a crazy jacket in a white room. Okay. So, all the D things come out, so to speak. So you might have already felt that beginning or inklings of, or you might be more fully in it, or you have times of it, or it's upcoming, where there's a spring in your step. They say, for example, like a sling back shot. So you spring forward and then you resettle for a bit, and then you propel even more forward again. But the idea is you've got to pull it right back and go all the way backwards there, right? Then there's that moment of pause. Okay, it's all about to happen. Either the shit's going to go wherever, or it's yes, I'm about to propel forward, so I'm having my biggest breakdown before my biggest breakthrough. And then whoosh, you are propelled forward as in, imagine if this was your timeline and you were up to here, the slingshot goes backwards and then forwards so that you're here. And if it wasn't for this new light coming in, you would only be here or progressing a little bit, like a little ant. But they're saying instead of moving forward like a little ant in that scale, it's more like a kangaroo hopping forward. And when I say kangaroo, we are to be reminded that 2024 was a leap year, so was 2020. How horrid were moments of each of those, because you had to go so back in order to go so forward. And that reminds me of something I was thinking about, because often thoughts come to me and it's mixed in with intuitive insight. And I realized, wow, if you go back every 4 years and think about, like, you know, what was going down, right? 2024, you go back, 2020, 2016, another difficult year. 2012 is 4 years before that, and that was a big transformative year, and again, to leap us forward. So the next one would be 2028, so watch out for that one. And if you keep going back in cycles of 4, 2008 sticks out as a difficult year as well. So they say you spring forward and then you resettle for a bit and then you propel more forward again in a series of shots, of slingshots. So it's going to be continuously in a series. So keep this in mind. It might not feel as drastic as 2024, where you felt more of the I'm back than forward. However, it's more a sense of that this happens, and there's almost like an acceleration, because this new light, this new energy brings in an acceleration that we've never seen before. They do make an analogy with the California fires. It's something unprecedented. We will continue to see unprecedented things. So they say you wouldn't have been able to do that if you were too mixed in with other people's energy. So do you see the difference there? So that allows you now, it opens up a space for you to propel forward in what you need to do. Because in the time that you were hovered, you were also very deeply working on your own stuff to its core, but in a way where it was separate and different, almost like removed to whatever degree, some people a bit more or less than others, from other people. So take that all in. It's a lot to think about and put things into perspective. They say now it's really, keep in mind, it's about perspective. Where is your perspective and what timeline are you on? Because it's easy to sink in or slip back. So remember that no matter what is happening, the higher timeline is always there for you. And we are on it right now. It's just a matter of perspective. And so really think about this message and write back what resonates with you and how that makes sense for you when you look back at last year, and also moving through the early stages of this year and what might be coming down the track.